Hello and welcome. This is Jim back again. If you remember, I put up a clip there, or a video, video 1, and it was based on talking about what cutbacks do to people and their jobs, and etc, etc. And since the cutbacks is affecting my job and others, as we all know, but I'm going to highlight it and try and bring to awareness of what cutbacks actually do, and hopefully that the people in government will be able to see the difference in what they're doing and what they might be able to gain by this video clips that I'm putting up based on nature. Now, since my job and other people's jobs may be coming to an end due to cutbacks, because there's not enough money going through the different government departments, and I would think it's time for the accountants to have a look at, instead of focusing on what they might be saving within them departments, as they call in cutbacks, they could be losing a hell of a lot more if they only studied it right, and they're going the wrong way and they're focusing on one thing. They might think they're saving, but in the long run they're losing a hell of a lot, as I will try to demonstrate here with my job, which is based in putting brown trout back into the natural rivers and putting life back into rivers and that sort of thing. The clips may be long, so I'm trying to cut each clip as short as I can, say as much as I can in each clip, and try and highlight what I'm doing. So this is a reminder, this here is what you've seen in video 1, the eggs, and which I said if the eggs were not fertilised, which these ones are not fertilised here, due to cutbacks and not getting funds, this is what can happen. So if you do not fertilise these eggs, which these ones are not, now I'll try and focus in, as you can see there, they might be turning a kind of white, so that means that they're not fertilised and they'll stand still and go nowhere, or if you want to put it very bluntly, this egg is lying dead or not in use. In other words, it's no life brought into it. The same thing goes to the cutbacks, no life when you start doing cutbacks. So basically, that's the fish egg, the brown trout fish egg, not fertilised. As I said, this is what happens when you don't fertilise. This one's not fertilised, and as you can see, and they go from that stage when you don't fertilise them to this little, see that there? That's what will happen, that bunch of eggs. They'll turn white and those eggs are dead. So that's what happens when you don't fertilise them. But let me show you what happens when you do fertilise eggs and it brings life into them. So here's on this section here, if I can get down. Now, you might see little black dots in those eggs. You see life in those eggs. Those eggs are fertilised. Those eggs are bringing life back into the system now, and a recycled system. This is what happens when you fertilise the egg, okay? So cutbacks, as I said in the first piece of the clip there, was when they weren't fertilised, and that's what happens when cutbacks come in, it goes nowhere. So if you start looking at the cutbacks in a different light and put life into the system instead of taking cutbacks, this is what happens. Life starts, a cycle starts of life. But if you take away from this life and go back to the eggs that I showed you at the start, which is these ones, if you don't put life in, they die. And if you start doing cutbacks and take away, you have that to start with. But if you start taking away from that, you end up with that, and then eventually more cutbacks come back, and instead you end up with that little lot there, and then eventually you end up that you actually have nothing more to take back. So where's your cutbacks going? It's plain to be seen. You have nothing. So if you're not putting nothing in, how can you get something out? That's what cutbacks do. This is I was asked to do a blueprint, a business plan. A business plan for accountants to see if we could keep this thing going on. In reality, business plan is something put on paper. There's no guarantees with it, but I'm showing you now my business plan taken from nature, which is showing guarantees. Let us proceed through the procedure and see what happens when you give something life. Instead of having that, but when you give life, you start the cycle, and you start seeing this. You see those little black dots there in those eggs? Those are live creatures. Those now are fertilised and are living. Now let me show you what happens now. This is what happens when you start putting things back in instead of taking away. You want to see what's going to happen next? Then follow me. Just watch. And this is a lesson from nature. Okay? Let's see how it works in reality. So there you go from that egg. And wow! Look what happens. Look what happens. Instead of taking away, you put life back into the system. Life, that's what it's all about. This works the same in cutbacks reality. I am not taking away in my job, I am putting back in to the community and the economy. And instead of seeing young brown fry trout here, from the egg to this, I see a lot more than these young fry. This is what we can do here. We can put life back in the system. This here now will fill our rivers and streams full of life. And I just don't see life. I just don't see a fish here. I see people. I see trains. I see cars. I see hotels. I see fishermen. I see fisherwomen. I see shops. I see restaurants. I see bed and breakfast, etc., etc., etc. So instead of the cutbacks, I now can give you a lesson in nature. And I am giving you this lesson from my own experience in life with this job. Put life back in to the system and you gain. Cutbacks you don't gain. Just imagine every day I come and I take something out of this tray. Cut back, cut back, cut back, cut back. I end up with back in time, back, keep going back in time, keep going back in time, keep going back in time. Remember I said you stand still at that point, you go nowhere, you probably die at that point. The system dies at that point. And then when you take away from that, you even get worse. It gets worse, it gets worse. You end up with nothing. That's what happens with cutbacks. Okay? So basically, this is my business plan. What you write on paper can be anything, but this is reality, this is real life. Now, just imagine, this is all going back into your rivers and streams. Look at that. Just look at that. I am not cutting back. I am adding. I am adding. Okay? And watch this. You see all that there? Sorry about the light. That's thousands and thousands. That's all going back into the economy. Tourism. Bed and breakfast. I see people. I see jobs. But what do the accountants say in all the government departments? Cutbacks, cutbacks. So where's the cutbacks bringing them? Nowhere. Nowhere. And when they do cutbacks, sorry about the light here, but this is all young trout. This is what happens when you fertilise the egg and put something back into the system. Okay? I am not cutting back. I am giving to the community. I am giving jobs. We are giving jobs. The other person that's working with me and myself, putting this all back into the community, into the economy system in the long run. Tourism, fishermen, bed and breakfast, boats, trains, cars, you name it. All this is coming from the fish egg. Now, when you start cutting back and taking fish from your rivers and streams, you end up with nothing. Now when cutbacks come to taking away your fish from your streams, you end up with nothing, and that's a very sad day. Very sad day indeed. As I say now, you'll see in clip 1 I was showing you the egg and why it wasn't fertilised. Now I'm showing you in this clip what happens when it is fertilised, okay? So that's long enough here. I'm going to do another one later on and bring an update for you. So I hope you've enjoyed these nice brown trout, and I will try and explain more what cutbacks do to people and their jobs and the economy as a whole. And once again, just as a quick reminder, this is video 2. Video 1 is out there, and I will probably have to do another update in video 3 because I've so much to say in this story. Anyway, this is me, Jim, signing out for now. Give you one more nice peaceful look at those nice, healthy young fry, which we did fertilise the eggs, and this is what happens. So how could you not? How could you not? I am trying to show you the two sides. One when you fertilise the egg, and the other when you don't, what happens. That is my business plan, which I could present to anybody. I know they'd laugh at you and say, oh, that's no business plan. We're all used to the traditional business plan. Everything project on paper and that sort of thing. You get no better business plan than looking and taking from nature. This is my business plan. I follow nature. Hopefully you will too. Chat to you more on the what cutbacks do in clip 3. So as I say, this is Jim, and thanks for watching, and bye for now. Thank you.